deve portare il testo che leggo.
Oh, vabbè, ma lei può anche parlare.
No, vabbè, ma preferisco leggere. Preferisco
l'introduzione, mentre
sì,
lei
sì, sì.
We can resume our works going towards the conclusion. I think it has been interesting so far. Now we have Undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Della Vedova, who is, how can I say, not a newcomer in our foundation. This is the third time that he's closing our conferences. In the past, it went very well, so it's a tradition that I hope you will continue, Honorable.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Distinguished speakers, honorable guests, I thank the NATO Defense College Foundation and Ambassador Minuto Rizzo for the kind invitation to offer a few concluding remarks. The relationship between Western Balkans and NATO has changed in the last 2 decades. We have a moral obligation and historical duty not to forget the tragic events that have shaken and marked the region in the 90s. And last week we have some witnesses that things are not yet definitely closed. But it is now time to look to the future. The reshaping of NATO as a proactive peacemaker and peacekeeper that was launched here in Rome in November 1991 has characterized the Alliance engagement in the region. At the same time, the Western Balkans approach towards the Alliance has been transformed as well. This mutual process of change is still ongoing and has already borne fruit. Montenegro joined NATO in June. Albania is a member state since 2009. Great expectations are coming from Fyrom, which has resumed confidence-building measures with Greece after years of stalemate, building new momentum on the name dispute. Bosnia-Herzegovina aspires to join NATO and is working to satisfy the conditions. Also, Kosovo aims at being admitted to NATO in the future, and in Kosovo still operates as third responder, the KFOR mission. Last but not least, Serbia has been strengthening its cooperation with the NATO despite its neutrality status, as witnessed by the recent visit of President Vučić to NATO. This mutual agreement clearly shows that NATO, as a system of shared values and common principles, is a key tool to promote peace, stability, and security beyond formal membership. Not only NATO and the Western Balkans have evolved, times have changed as well. Homegrown terrorism, foreign fighters, religious radicalism, migrations, criminal networks put strains on the Western Balkans, Europe, and the world. In tackling these new threats, Western Balkans are part of the solution and must be part of the solution. Countries in the region have made impressive progress. Some of them are already, as I mentioned before, NATO allies or security providers within NATO operations. But as a result of the complexity of the region, its stability should not be taken for granted. Western Balkans are still at the intersection of traditional and unconventional challenges, which could benefit from instability, lack of prosperity, institutional uncertainty. The EU and NATO should continue to keep the Balkans high on the agenda, to pursue political dialogue and practical cooperation, and to ensure a political perspective of Euro-Atlantic integration to the interested countries of the region. Focusing on NATO, the momentum is positive. Under Italian leadership, the alliance has started a strategic transition, adapting to an evolving security framework that includes terrorism and hybrid threats. Deterrence and defense and projecting stability are two mutually reinforcing sides of the same coin. Strengthening the resilience of NATO partners in the Mediterranean and Balkans is crucial to fortify NATO's posture to face the new unconventional challenges. As a part of this process, allies consider raising NATO's profile to counter terrorism also in the Balkans. Against this background, KFOR remains, in our view, an essential tool to strengthen the security environment in Kosovo and in the whole region, also in the fight against terrorism, including monitoring foreign fighters. We shall continue to support KFOR's proactive role in its security approach. The assigning to Italy of the position of KFOR commander once again was a welcome acknowledgement of our engagement. Despite being distinct, the European and Euro-Atlantic integration paths remain parallel and strictly interlinked. In this process, Italy remains the forefront in promoting the progressive accession to EU and NATO of the Western Balkans in order to foster social and economic progress, to strengthen regional stability, and to encourage good neighborly relations. This was our core message at the Western Balkan Summit in Trieste last June 12, reaffirming our commitment to the region and endorsing its efforts toward European and Euro-Atlantic institutions. In Trieste, we refocused the attention on the region, and since then we have seen renewed engagement by the European Union institutions. The EU Commission's strategy for the successful accession of Serbia and Montenegro to the European Union was published in September with a perspective of accession to the EU by 2025. The upcoming Bulgarian presidency of the EU put the Western Balkans integration at the core of its agenda. I strongly hope Western Balkan countries will take advantage of this momentum and continue undertaking the necessary reforms to go on along their integration path. At the same time, we should not underestimate external influence, which may be interested in destabilizing the region. Regional integration represents a key tool to promote economic development while enhancing reconciliation and integration. In this regard, the European Union itself is a story of success. Nationalists and sovereignists in some EU member states who disregard the value of an unprecedented period of more than 70 years of peace should take a closer look at the Balkans' past. Bold economic and administrative reforms, measures to enhance the rule of law, regional cooperation, and good neighbors' relations is what we look forward to in the region. The remarkable achievements of the Trieste summit, such as the creation of a regional economic area and the signing of the Community Transport Treaty within the Western Balkans, are useful in this respect. Interconnectivity brings development, and development brings peace. Actually, every instrument that may help in this direction is welcome. One of the priorities of the Italian presidency of the Berlin process, for instance, has been to foster regional cooperation and deepen the economic and social ties in the area. The Berlin process is just one of the several tools of the regional integration that Italy supports and contributes to, such as the Central European Initiative or the European Strategy for the Adriatic Ionian region. Finally, Italy is committed to bringing NATO-EU cooperation to a new level, not only as partners, but as complementary organizations. It's time to be ambitious, especially now as the EU is creating, through PESCO, the condition to become itself a security provider, especially in a region as the Western Balkans. The EU and NATO are bound to think and plan strategically together. So, yes, the Western Balkans are at a crossroads. They have already made it clear that they want to join the European and Euro-Atlantic family, but it is time to give this perspective a fresh boost. It is not about choosing sides, but about which legacy we all want to leave to the next generations. Whether we want to live in the past or in the future, whether we want to complain or to create. We all have to seize the unique opportunity to build together a secure, strong and prosperous European and Euro-Atlantic region. Thank you to all for the kind attention.
Well, thank you, Onorevole. It is very good to hear from you that the Italian government is supporting, in fact, all this major initiative towards integration into Europe, into the Euro-Atlantic region. You have not been part of the debate, but yesterday and today we touched upon exactly those points, you know, from the European point of view and the Euro-Atlantic point of view. And the general sense of the discussion, as some of the speakers have said, is that yes, Balkans are at a crossroads, but at the crossroads has already been how can I say, bypassed in a way, because the decision has been taken to go into this direction of integration. So the issue is more about how, when, and in which way, but the main decision seems to be already taken. I thank you very much again for coming here. As I say, it's the third time that you close one of my conferences, so I'm coming attached to you, and you're always very kind and always very thoughtful, because we have touched upon in the brief intervention about all the major points. With this, I think that we can close this conference. It has been for us, I mean, for our foundation, not easy to try to discuss in 2 days the major issues of the region without being, you know, forgetting something important, at the same time not going into unnecessary details, which is very easy to do because, you know, the Balkans are so close to us, close to Italy, close to Europe, close to Euro-Atlantic institutions, so it is not easy to concentrate, to focus on the main important issue. I think we have done that, and we had a generous attendance by the public, and we will do it again. We have also changed a little bit our, how can I say, the scope of our conference, including the fight against terrorism, illicit trade, you know, all those things which are not really linked to geopolitics in the traditional sense, but are very pertinent and very, how can I say, very necessary to discuss this part of the world. So I thank you very much. And ending the conference, I have, of course, to thank most of all my collaborators, who are those who permitted this to happen. They have been very good. They have been working for a few months on that because, you know, for all of those of you who are not familiar with this conference, but you know, whatever it is, it takes months to prepare these things, and then it's consumed in a few hours. So if something goes wrong, then you are lost. But everything is going all right. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.